Right, well, here we are. I'm Matt Linett, and we are on Calling Sacred Cows Morning Coffee with me. I'm very sorry to have been 41 minutes late, but it's very difficult to get morning coffee without coffee. So, after having procured coffee, which took a little while longer than I thought it would, I rushed right here in order to join you guys. The topic for today, I'm not 100% sure because I've been pondering too many things last night before going to bed and still haven't come to too much of a resolution on the matter. One of the things I was pondering was the importance of rest. And the other thing I was pondering was the importance of good decision making. And I think it's interesting because both of them are related one to another. Good decision making happens because people are capable of reacting to a stimuli appropriately. Oh boy, what in the world is going on here? Because people are capable of reacting to stimuli appropriately. Would have been useful in the past in keeping us away from predators or allowing us to pursue prey or just generally be able to act under stress. It now gives us many symptoms of chronic stress. And given the fact that many of us don't work real jobs, work in manual physical labor, given the fact that many of us are quite sedentary, that can affect us adversely. Indeed, even many factory jobs that involve moving things from place A to place B have wound up becoming quite automated. And that leaves us with the need for certain kind of physiological stimulation that doesn't take place unless we go out of our way to get it. Well, not only is rest relevant here, but then so would proper diet and exercise and just doing things that would have been a part of normal life even as little as a century and a half ago, nearly ubiquitously throughout the world. So with that said, here we go, live streaming. In my case, Guten Morgen. Thank you, Caleb. So, being able to rest yourself means that you will have, first and foremost, gotten enough sleep. And that one of the benefits of sleep is allowing your brain enough of a chance to get rid of, or rather to turn ADP into ATP. That's actually one of the signals of tiredness, is excessive ADP within the brain. It means that you've used your brain to the point where you're going to become less and less effective as time goes on. So stress notwithstanding, lack of sleep will impair cognitive function. And in fact, it impaired my cognitive function this morning because I wasn't even able to figure out, simple things like where's the coffee, what pan do I use to cook it. All of my morning routines were completely blown away because of vacation and being exceedingly tired and having the essential torture treatment of being woken up from one's slumber throughout the course of every single time that you actually fall asleep really does a number on your ability to think clearly. And that happened to me this morning. It's I'm sure it must have been a sight to see me just aimlessly wandering through the kitchen. So anyhow, the ADP on the brain, and then just giving yourself a chance to replenish it without doing too much. I mean, obviously your brain is still active during sleep, but it comes in cycles, and that generally helps to consolidate memories and to help your brain recover from the arduous task of dealing with day-to-day events, especially in the modern world, which wind up providing a great deal more stimulus, external stimulus, than people have gotten from any other point in history. So, now with that said, I mean, we can jump back and forth in between this and good decision making as much as we like. So I'm going to jump into the good decision making. In looking at people that were incarcerated for violent crimes, I can't remember whether it was only murder or if it was violent crimes. And I don't know if there was a causative effect established here. It's only correlated, right? So correlation doesn't imply causation, but anyhow, yes, it does. So let's say that you're in a bar somewhere, and you see people getting into a fight. What are some things you can know about these people that have just gone and put themselves into a potentially life-threatening circumstance, especially if there are broken cue sticks involved? Well, you can know they're likely tired, they're likely lacking sleep, likely have low blood sugar, and they likely have alcohol in their system. So, the alcohol serves to disinhibit all sorts of inhibitory pathways that would cause people to get a grip on themselves, for lack of a better term. So obviously you're going to already be more candid, more forthright, less thinking before you act. But the two big contributing factors are low blood sugar and high blood alcohol. And interestingly, both of these can be solved by eating protein and fat. I mean, of course, you can eat carbohydrates, and that will help to some extent, but the fact of the matter is, especially simple carbohydrates are a really bad solution long term for this. So, let's say you've made the poor life choice of going and drinking, and you don't have any food. You just drink on an empty stomach. Well, alcohol itself stimulates the production of insulin. So insulin will go and tank your blood sugar. So you're already just the act of drinking itself is going to mess with you in that regard. Additionally, alcohol, especially chronic consumption thereof, is going to decrease your insulin sensitivity. So you're going to keep on dumping more and more insulin. So you can wind up having wildly fluctuating blood sugar throughout the course of an evening. So if somebody says the wrong thing when you're at the wrong frame of mind, you will be much more likely to behave impulsively. And the same goes with lack of sleep. So after a long, hard day at work or something, you've gone to happy hour, or you've gone to sad hour, or whatever hour it may be, all of these factors are going to make someone more prone to having a meltdown or getting into a fight or doing something of, shall we say, questionable nature. So what are some of the best ways of getting past this, or what are some of the ways of rigging within ourselves the ability to do the opposite? Proper nutrition and proper rest. Those two factors are incredibly important in terms of being able to consistently make good decisions. And if you have good habits, I'm certain you can go pretty much your whole life, but but some people, and probably myself included, occasionally require a change in scenery, a change in pattern, and if one can keep healthy habits throughout the course of vacation and remove from oneself the stressors, the cortisol, which also incidentally causes insulin resistance, and then higher insulin levels, which go and impact your kidneys and all sorts of different things. If one can knock the cortisol levels down, it just makes thinking a lot more clear. So why do I keep on going back to this biochemistry and these few basic hormones? It's because they're key in many signaling pathways throughout the entire body. And if you get a grasp on your physiology, it makes dealing with the difficult things in life a lot easier. And given that many people that like to watch this sort of a thing identify themselves as thinking types, a lot of times thinking types eschew the practical for the theoretical. And I love theory, but I will not eschew it for the practical unless I'm in a really, really bad frame of mind, which would actually make it dangerous for me and for everyone else. So I'm here trying to encourage you that if you intend to get anything done in life, and if you intend to have a productive, happy, and full life, that the establishment of good habits is key. And you can go and figure out what those habits are. I mean, it's not, it is syntactically not a difficult thing to do. Syntactically good habits are about the easiest thing in the world to know what to do. The difficult part for most people is actually doing it. Consistently waking up at the same time. Not necessarily consistently going to bed, but consistently waking up at the same time. Consistently eating on a particular schedule, and having that schedule allowing for a reasonably big period of fasting. Like, I mean, at least half of the day you shouldn't be eating anything. Preferably about 16 hours a day you shouldn't eat anything. You should probably only eat within an 8-hour time window, or some days just don't eat at all. And the reason is, if you consistently do that, your insulin sensitivity will be higher, your body will produce less of it, and will be able to much more tightly control your blood sugar levels. Additionally, due to the nature of things, due to the nature of the hormones, you're not going to actually have low blood sugar if you don't eat for a while, assuming that you haven't been eating too many simple carbs beforehand. Assuming you haven't been eating the simple carbs, you aren't going to wind up having the lasting residual effects of insulin going and lowering your blood sugar. So you can go for as long as you want without too much trouble until you run out of fat reserves in a fasted state. You're going to, at least up here, be capable of doing pretty much whatever you want. Now, if you're addicted to sugar, that's going to be something else, and if you're in really bad cardiovascular shape, it could be difficult for you. But the fact of the matter is, doing these basic things will help more than almost anything else in terms of giving you the willpower to do what it is that you need to do in life, whatever that may be. So, if we think about our brains as having the primary function of being able to make good decisions, I mean, like, why do we actually have this? We have this for the purpose of propagating our genetic material and ensuring its survival. Okay, I mean, we can obviously choose to do other things, but this is pretty useless to us if we're not propagating our genetic material and ensuring its survival. I mean, do you think that I stream for fun? I don't stream for fun. I stream because it's part of ensuring the survival of my genetic material. I stream to you guys. I stream and I put this as a repository up for everyone to see due to the fact that I want to actually have the people that are going to be associating with my children, the people that are going to be mentoring my children, the people that are going to be living with my children and so on, to have a little something to point them in the right direction, to have a little something. I suppose in addition to propagating my genetic material, I want to propagate ideas that I consider very important. And these basic things have, for many people in the past 2 or 3 generations, especially the past 2 generations, gone largely untaught. You know, people have gone and thought, oh, well, I don't want to go and expose my children to all this difficult stuff, and I want them to be able to eat whenever they want to eat and sleep whenever they want to sleep and generally live an unstructured life due to the fact that they can basically go and act on every single hedonistic whim. You know, the baby boomer generation is the first of said generations that the people that actually went to war didn't want to have their kids suffering, and so they overreacted. They overreacted and did everyone in the world a big disservice due to the fact that they wanted to minimize suffering, and our physiology, our very selves, are designed for specific adaptation to specific stressors in the acute term. So if things get too good, we get weak. And so we need to, at least to some extent, simulate and if necessary, fabricate for ourselves the environments that give us the stimuli that our body needs. Well, anyhow, keeping on doing that over the course of a couple generations has left people generally removed from the idea of what it is that actually constitutes living healthily. I mean, our lifespan is constantly increasing, at least on average. But for many people, the quality of life at the end goes down the tubes. I know my wife's grandfather is here. And yeah, he has a worse quality of life now than he did, say, 10, 15 years ago. He's doing remarkably well as an old dude because he never ate too much. He is not addicted to sugar. He has always remained active. Up here, he's all there. He's going a little deaf, so having the last 15 years being miserable. You know, it used to be a thing that, and I'm not saying that we need to go back to the days of not vaccinating our children or not having clean surfaces or doing things like that. I think that modern medicine is wonderful, but what I'm saying is it used to be such that people's quality of life was generally higher up to the point of death. Now, of course, the causes of death were too numerous, and that's what modern medicine can fix and has done a great job of fixing. But we are also not using our bodies as designed, so what's to be said about the quality of life? I mean, that's not going to say I'm going to go out base jumping in order to get my cortisol and adrenaline spikes and then keep it keep the levels chronically low. I mean, that's a little bit too risky for me, and I'm pretty sure that would actually decrease my life expectancy, even though my quality of life might go up for the time that I'm doing it. Anyhow, I guess the whole point of this little digression is that little bit by little bit, habits form. and they're very, very powerful. And they can be used as a force for good or a force for ultimately what winds up being evil if you consider not being able to go about the business of being human evil. Then there are some other things to consider, but before I consider them, oh, thank you, Caleb. I should change the show's name to Raping Them. Yes, sounds lovely. Can you just eat as much as you want once a day at the same time each day? Ah, that's actually a very reasonable course of action to take. Eating as much as you want once a day at the same time each day, or eating as much as you want every other day at the same time each day. Or eating as much as you want once a day at a random time through the day. I mean, same time every day would be really, really easy to orchestrate. And I would actually say, Caleb, that is one of the best eating strategies you can come up with. One caveat: stay away from simple carbs. Simple carbs will not hurt you as badly if you are eating them in that fasted state, because you will have increased insulin sensitivity. But still, simple carbs are not good for you. They are empty. But and they also mess with your satiety. So you're going to wind up eating more. You're going to wind up eating more if you eat the simple carbs. If you eat as much as you want of healthy foods once a day, you'll likely regulate your weight just fine. You will not ever, you won't get fat. You'll have really, really good insulin sensitivity and so on. Like eating a pizza, I would already go and say that would be better, because eating a pizza, you would have things that go to glucose in the crust, but you wouldn't have any fructose, which winds up ultimately going and doing the same thing that alcohol would do in terms of overconsumption thereof, giving you non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. And the fact that fructose is specifically designed to give you the fruit version of a beer belly. If you think about what happened, well, like why is fruit ripe, why do people gravitate toward eating the ripe fruit? People gravitate toward eating the ripe fruit due to the fact that they go and give the fructose, which allows you to put on weight before the winter months. And so those that wound up surviving, and those that didn't wind up eating extra would wind up starving halfway through, because they didn't have the fat reserves to get them through the winter. So take that for what it's worth. Fructose makes you fat. Fructose makes you fat because it dysregulates your appetite and dysregulates your insulin. So even if you're not worried about putting on weight because you have a good metabolism, dysregulating your appetite, dysregulating your insulin is not good for you in the long term. So just eat healthy. Eat as much as you want once a day. You'll be fine. You won't have to worry about not eating until you're full. Maybe that'll be the next series, while I'm still in the process of putting the philosophy stuff together, will be essential biochemistry. Learn how to take care of your body, or something like that. Or take care of yourself, the biochemistry or essential biochemistry of the human body. Now that would be a good series, and I think I would recommend everyone watch that, because you can see then the biochemical basis upon which I make my claims. Of course, I think I probably have to make sure that I can't monetize those videos, because I would use an awful lot of sources from that I wouldn't be allowed to monetize. All right. So hopefully that answered your question, Mr. Beers. Hopefully that answered your question. I don't want to I don't want to make it too complex, but at the same time, I can't just go and give you a very simple yes, although the answer is very close to being a simple yes. And on vacation, I actually find that I eat way less. I know that might sound very, very strange, but the idea of going, well, first off, I'm in the middle of nowhere. I love vacationing in the middle of nowhere, and that means I can go and get absorbed in my work. I can get absorbed in nature. I can get absorbed in all these different things that are around, and my schedule is thrown off, so I might not even eat at a normal eating time, and I won't even notice it. So that's that. But then if you wind up vacationing in a place where people are constantly, there's the smell of food, the taste of food, all the food everywhere, and you aren't prepared for that, you're always hungry, or you are eating the wrong thing in the morning, and that's setting you up for disaster throughout the course of the rest of the day, then yeah, you might not lose weight on vacation. It's similar to how my wife lost something like 8 pounds after popping out a kiddo, and I don't mean just. I mean, like, if you measured her weight when she got pregnant and her weight the day she got home from the hospital after popping out the kiddo, she was like 8 pounds lighter. And why was that? It was because she had decided to do the same kind of a thing that I had decided to do, and jumped on the bandwagon of doing the just eat right thing. Of course, she was breastfeeding, so she didn't do the whole eating in a very, very small window of time. But these basic things that cause our physiology to correspond with what it was we would have expected during hunter-gatherer times are, when combined with modern medicine getting rid of the major leading causes of death associated with very long, very long lives of high quality. If you take a look at the regions of the world that have the oldest people, you'll find that there are many, many factors that bind them all together. Many of them eat a predominantly plant-based diet with more healthy fats and some protein. I mean, like, nowhere near as much protein, for instance, as people would say that you need here in much of the West, and certainly nowhere near as much carbohydrates. Generally less caloric intake. Period. And it's interesting because obviously this would be unethical to do, or to conduct this study in such a way that you would impose these conditions on two groups of human beings. But on rats, the studies go basically such that if you